Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all acknowledgement, honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Harakah HaKudash, who giveth us his servant strength and power to move mountains, and who will deliver us, Lord willing, from the hour of temptation. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that have taught us his truth. And shalom to you hopeful, sincere, elect members, and 1/3 of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans and Seminole Indians that truly believe that Yahweh is, that he exists, and that Yahweh Shai is the deliverer and will deliver you. Shalom. Now I wanted to go into a topic dealing with what is the Insurrection Act, and how could Trump use it. Alright, so insurrection. Alright, that's prophesied in the scriptures. But Esau has a insurrection act in case, it's one of those rough ride. In case of a emergency that will take place here in America. A riot breakout, looting, weapons are drawn, bullets are used. And there is saying from this video that this was used in the Rodney King riot. All right. And Esau is about to use his military. And from what I have seen, the videos circulating, that these military troops, they have artillery and they're pretty much ammoed up, ready for any outcome. Whether battling civilians, because there will be a civil war. All right, and that's prophesied in Isaiah. All right, because the Lord did this in ancient times to the Egyptians. All right, and who are the modern day Egyptians? These Americans. All right, Esau. Isaiah 19:2. And I was set. So the Lord is going to appoint. He's going to put a spirit, all right, upon these Americans to create civil war against their government. All right, and a lot of these pro-Trump supporters, their eyes are open to what's really going on with these laws and these mandatory vaccines and so forth. They see that their rights and their freedom is being taken away, just like how Jake. See, it's funny how these devils act. They like to see Jake oppressed and be treated as a slave, but they themselves, when they feel a little oppressed, all hell is about to break loose. All right? Because this is their kingdom. And they want to have it as such. But the elites is like, no, this is our kingdom. Isaiah 19:2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So the Lord is going to set the Americans against the Americans. All right? Satan versus Satan. And yeah, you're going to have 2/3 of our idiotas, our people, these Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans out there. Whether they're supporting Trump, fighting for the American cause, or whether they're fighting for Biden, all right, or being paid by rival parties, because there will be counter protesters out there. All right, and the way these pro-Trump supporters are feeling, they're really feeling to hurt. All right, make their voice heard by the way of causing pain, violence, and so forth. So, and it says, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city. And that's what's about to take place, not only in Washington, the capital, but certain places. These Edomites coming under the banner of Trump, all right, that white supremacy, they're going to be fighting for their last little freedom, all right? That last little privilege that the elites have allowed them to have. And everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom, all right, this might spiral into a whole 52 states mayhem, all right? Because, hey, all Edomites, they feel the same way. They act like some of them act like they hate Trump, but they're really for Trump. All right? These true Edomites that want to see white privilege, so-called white privilege, and, they want to keep being on top of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they're going to be out there, supporting Trump. All right? And it says, the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. So the spirit of Egypt. And what is the spirit of Egypt? Idolatry, homosexuality, mirth, expecting a better year. But look at how things is going right now. It's failing. All right, it feel like another level of 2020. All right, but this is 2021. And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to idols, to charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards. All right, and it says, the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai of hosts. All right, and we're witnessing these things. All right, Biden is about to be hella hard on these people. It's about to be very cruel. Trump himself is cruel. But, hey, none of them is going to compare to the king of terrors, which is Yahweh Shai, all right? But these leaders about to show you how cruel they are. All right, whether you Edomite or not. Because things are about to, these elites, they're not going to be seeing whether they really want to get rid of these rednecks. All right? And these trailer trash. All right, they really want to get rid of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And they will go for it. All right, so what is the Insurrection Act? So we're going to go on. It says, false social media post twirl late Sunday that President Donald Trump, in the wake of the U.S. Capitol riots, has invoked the Insurrection Act, a law that allows the president to deploy the military to quell rebellion. All right, and them Edomites, if the military is there, they will calm down. All right, but we can't tell the situation until the Lord, put that deep spirit of just war. All right, civil war. All right, because if Esau goes with the intent of shooting, all right, of making an example, then he won't care if the military is really right there, because most of these Edomites, they're trained militias anyways. All right, they're police officers that have been laid off. All right, former veterans. All right, tweets sharing images of military personnel in Washington continue to spread Monday morning and became a trend term on Twitter. However, Trump has not invoked the law. The law, which has existed in various forms since the time of George Washington and in its current state since the Civil War. So the reason I brought this out on a video of an Edomite talking about what's going on, talking about how Trump was the president that tried to pull back the military and to bring them home. So pretty much they were saying that America is pretty much forsaking their own people, and when China and Russia invade this place, they won't have any defense. All right, and they were saying that these National Guard and so forth are pretty much, not going to be able to protect these Americans. All right, and they were complaining about how that's why the Democrats are trying to take their guns. All right, the Second Amendment. And they were saying that they have activated the law of Insurrection Act. All right. And it says it was invoked. Wait. It says law which existed in various forms since the time of George Washington. Its current state since the Civil War allows the president to dispatch the military or federalize the National Guard. So what they were saying is Trump won't be allowed to deny to dispatch the military. All right, because they were saying that was Trump's intent. So these Trump supporters could actually, make a statement. But it shows you that Trump has no authority. All right? Because they have vetoed his request. So the National Guard and state that are unable to put down an insurrection or are defying federal law. It was last invoked in 1992 by George Washington Bush. And that's what they were saying. Trump tried to do that during the unrest in Los Angeles after acquittal of police officer who beat Rodney King. So it says, what is an Insurrection Act? The Insurrection Act gives the president authority to call on military and National Guard forces to suppress an insurrection. So these people know that these Trump supporters are not going out without a fight. All right, they're going to fight for their little America that's left, all right, to them. All right, their freedom. To call on military and National Guard forces to suppress an insurrection if a state request it. If there is an insurrection that makes it impossible to enforce federal law, or if there is an insurrection or domestic violence that deprives others of their constitutional rights, the act also requires the president to issue a proclamation demanding those participating in the insurrection disperse. All right, so it says the Insurrection Act laid into U.S. law an exemption to that background principle. All right, and in most cases, a state will want to rely on National Guard troops in situations of unrest. The Insurrection Act is generally reserved for when things are really bad. And that was the point. Things are going to get really bad. All right, Lord willing, man. Because Esau knows a lot of these militias and pro-Trump supporters, they support the army hard. All right, they support the police officers hard. They support veterans hard. All right, they themselves are veterans. All right, and they know they're not supposed to cross that line. But we'll see how it goes. 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword, a sword is what? A weapon. What's a modern day sword? Gun. Who is the modern day sword on the earth? Esau, the so-called white man. Alright? And their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. So there's going to be little race wars. Alright? And especially during the period of the Civil War, there was a lot of Jakes that were hanged. There were a lot of Jakes, even amongst Esau, fighting for Esau. Alright? That were coon niggas. Alright? That were helping the so-called white man for benefit. They even got turned on. Alright? Hung up. You know? And so forth. Killed. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, weapons. Alright? Weapons. AK. Alright? Assault rifles. Automatic pistols. Alright? For there shall be sedition amongst men. So you wouldn't activate this. Alright? You wouldn't activate it. The Insurrection Act, if there wasn't going to be a sedition expected, right? So the Insurrection Act is generally reserved for when things are really bad. All right? Things are about to be really bad to where martial law might go in effect. All right? The Insurrection Act is a law, while martial law is a concept that doesn't have legal definition in the U.S. All right? So it says, generally, martial law means that the military takes over civilian control of the government, whereas insurrection acts applies to specific instances of rebellion or refusal to uphold the law and requires state National Guard or U.S. military to intervene. All right? So martial law is essentially the absence of the law. All right, so it's about to be lawless out here. So Esau might as well go ahead and declare martial law. And that's just perfect for the elite's plans. All right? These things, they weren't just made up just because Esau wants to make laws to keep order. They were made up just so Esau could have that control to establish his new world order. At least try. All right? For there shall be sedition amongst men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. All right? Esau don't even care if Trump goes back and tells them not to do any act of violence. All right? They won't care if Biden has a few words or of discouragement to tell them. All right? They won't even care if they go to jail. Nor princes, their governors, their mayors. All right? These leaders, in the course of their actions, shall stand in their power. Why? Because they're going to have weapons. They're going to be well organized. All right? And a man shall go into a city and shall not be able. For because of the pride, and that's what? Because of the proudness of these devils. All right? They refuse to cooperate. They refuse to give up their America. The city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right? And it's going to get to that point where Esau is going to declare martial law. All right? Because it says military takes control over civilian. And why do you take control over a civilian? Because they're not acting civilized. So, all praise to Yahweh Shem El Shai. Because this is Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom, all right, what is America? A kingdom. What you would call the so-called white man's heaven. His rulership. All right. A great, mighty, ruling dominion. Right? Be divided against itself, So if it has internal affairs, all right, which is the Lord, having the Egyptians versus the Egyptians, you got the president versus the president in front of the world stage. All right? If a kingdom be divided against itself, so it's pretty much turning against itself. Too many ideologies and too many feelings. Too many opinions, and people are actually forcing it on other people within Esau's kingdom. All right, so all of his things have backfired. That kingdom cannot stand. All right, so Esau's kingdom cannot remain. It is no longer stable. All right, it's about to collapse. Slakia. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself, so how could the spiritual demon Satan rise up against himself when Satan is the Heavenly Father's son that takes orders and rules the left-hand side? All right, how could that make sense? This is talking about his offspring, a so-called white man. All right, Satan in the flesh, because the word Satan only means adversary, an enemy. All right, so if the enemy shall rise up against himself, the so-called white man rising up against himself, Shaitan, and be divided, how are they divided? With these parties. All right, Democrat, Republic, playing like they're divided. But it's all part of the elite's plan. Either way, it's the Lord's plan. All right? Because these people really believe in Trump. And they really believe on the other side in Biden. All right? He cannot stand but at an end. So this man is at the end of his rulership. All right, there's no other explanation for it. All right, for all the things that are going on. With Esau going against himself, he's done for. It's over. All right, over. The Lord is ending this man before our eyes. All right, and sedition will take place, and Esau will activate the Insurrection Act. All right, and then it's going to transfer what? To martial law. All right, and then it's only going to get more stricter than that, because they're saying people are getting infected because of these outbursts, because of this attack on the Capitol. All right, because of these Trump supporters. It's all part of the agenda. All right. But at the end of the day, Esau is doing the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. I just wanted to bring this out. I barely just found this out, that there's a thing called Insurrection Act. All right, but it will be used. No doubt about it. All right. And things will get ugly and violent. Because think about it, man. This is Esau's kingdom. And these regular Edomites, they're literally trying to keep the freedom of being an Edomite. All right. Again, this is their last little dot blick of their great America to them. All right, no more comfortability for these Edomites. All right, no more, unlimited privileges. All right, they're about to get in line like the rest of the slaves. So they're going to fight to their death. Lord willing, it goes out But it's all according to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Harakha HaKutash. Lord willing, it was edifying. And double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Shalom.